Hello, cult members. Welcome to the Pop Culture Cult. I'm Sean.
I'm Janice.
And this is our spoiler. Dun, 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 dun. This is a full spoiler review of Avengers Infinity War. Spoilers. Spoilers. Because we're going to spoil the shit out of it because we've been wanting to talk about it. Spoilers. All right.
You can't. We got out of the movie, and I'm like, you can't post anything.
Yeah. You can't post anything. Okay, we're going to start with what I really want to talk about first. We'll talk about everything that happens in the movie. What I want to talk about first is the fact that they did this. They spent 10 years, they built it up.
Yeah.
They built up all this hype and everything, and they delivered on it on a scale that I don't think anybody expected them to deliver.
Yeah. Like I said in the non-spoiler review that we've been trolled for 8 years.
Yeah.
There were, the eye and the arm from Rocket when he pulled out the eye and gave it to Thor, and then he's like, I'm getting that arm.
Yeah.
He did the eye and the arm in the last.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're like,
yeah.
Did you know that?
Yeah. It's like they built up all of this stuff, and okay, we've been warned. Spoilers. They fucking did the snap, and deleted half of existence. I don't believe they freaking went there. They teased that. Everybody's like, oh, no, they're never going to do that. Or Thanos is only going to get a couple of the stones in this movie.
Yeah.
And then the next one's going to be all about them stopping him from getting all the stones so he doesn't. No. He got all the stones and snapped his fingers, and all of it, half of existence is gone.
Yep.
Oh, my God. You just wiped out everything you just did over the last 10 years.
Now they're going to come back.
Oh my God, I don't believe they did that. It's unbelievable. I'm sorry, it's unbelievable that a franchise was willing to kill off 2/3 of their known characters.
But they're going to come back. Right?
I think so. Some things that we do know that are going to happen in the future. We do know that Guardians 3 is happening.
Right.
However, we don't know what that's going to entail. Now, they did introduce the original Guardians of the Galaxy in the last in Volume 2. The only one to make it out of the Guardians group was Rocket and Nebula. Were the two that actually made it out of that group. But we know that movie is happening. It's already on the docket. It's going to happen. It's going to happen after Infinity War 2 or Avengers 4, whatever they're going to call it.
Yeah, well, anything. That's why I was asking on the way home, what is happening between now and Infinity War 2? Because unless they're going to do timey-wimey and go back in time.
Well, okay, I was getting to that. So we have Ant-Man and the Wasp coming out in June.
Right.
And then we have Captain Marvel coming out between Ant-Man and Infinity.
And that is back in time.
And that's in the 90s.
Right.
And there's all kinds of stuff that happens with that. There's the Kree Skrull War. There is time travel within. She goes to a different dimension, comes back. That's why she wasn't around.
But she's not really in this. She's not in the Avengers. She's
in the new Avengers group, but she's not in this movie version
iteration.
Right. The other thing that we know for sure that's happening is Homecoming 2. That's already on the docket.
Between now and
after Infinity War 2.
Right. Just right now.
Right now, we know for sure Ant-Man and the Wasp. We've already seen the trailer. It's out in June. We know that for sure.
Right.
And it's directly affected by what happened in Infinity War.
But he's not there for Infinity War. So, I mean, you can assume.
Were they in the quantum realm? Were they in the, all the...
Right. Maybe people in the quantum realm were
immune or whatever. Yeah. And then, like we're saying, Captain Marvel. So that's the stuff that we know for sure that's going to happen. Now, we've seen set photos with Tony and Steve Rogers, and they have, it looks like something on the back of their hands, which indicates possible time travel. They're There's scenes where they're in the Battle of New York. There's scenes where they're in World War II. So it looks like there's going to be time travel going on in there somewhere. So
Okay.
we're going to get some, or they're trolling us, which is also possible.
Right.
So the movie itself, the reason we're talking about it this way is because when Thanos snaps his fingers, we lose. It's easier to talk about who we didn't lose. So we have Nebula made it and Rocket made it from the Guardians. Captain Rhodes, Iron Patriot, Tony, Steve Rogers, Thor,
and Black Widow or
Black Widow.
Black Widow.
And that's it.
That's it.
So your major five, your first Avengers, the six that were in the first Avengers movie. Oh, and Banner. And Banner's there. He's in the Hulkbuster, but it's not Hulk, it's Banner.
It's Banner.
Hulk is like being a prepubescent teenager,
little boy.
Doesn't want to. Yeah. So you get the original six Avengers: Nebula, Captain Rogers, and Rocket. That's it. There's 9 of them left. Everyone else was either killed off. They killed off Gamora and Vision. Now we all kind of had an idea that Vision was going to be killed off somehow because he had the stone, and they tried to take it out. Shuri tried to take it out, but it didn't really work. And
they didn't have enough
time.
Yeah.
And then Thanos pretty much beats his ass and rips it out of his head. And
Black Panther, he's gone.
T'Challa's gone. T'Challa's gone. Peter Quill is gone. Peter Parker's gone. Doctor Strange is gone. Manus, Drax, Rocket. Holy shit! You just killed off like a bunch of people. Thanos survives. He talks about at one point in time in the movie how he wants to get the gauntlet, snap his fingers, blank out half of existence because he's seen how the ever expanding of people of whatever is destroying the universe.
Resources, right,
destroying the resources.
So I would like to talk about Thanos. There's been for a very long time a lot of complaint about, I don't know that it's specific to Marvel, but the villains, the bad guys,
it's been
being
more specific. It's been better lately, but yeah,
and I mean
because it's more about the heroes than it is the villains,
right? But Thanos was awesome.
Yeah,
Josh Brolin was awesome as Thanos, and Thanos was awesome. The whole time I'm like, I get what he's doing.
Yeah, you understand his motivation. I always love villains where you're like,
you're torn. You're
Yeah.
like,
that's Killmonger.
Yeah.
Killmonger was the same thing. I understand why you are this way, and you know what? I kind of maybe side with you. I think you're kind of maybe possibly right.
Yeah. Maybe the execution might not be the best, but
and Thanos is the same
way.
And I'm sorry, for a CGI character to have the emotion come out when he throws Gamora off the ledge and he's crying.
I don't know that he's CGI. I think he's mocap, isn't he?
He's mocap, but I mean, they show him crying. He's actually like, motherfucker's crying.
Yeah.
And you're looking at this giant purple guy with all the emotion in his face because he knows what he has to do to finish his self-proclaimed mission here.
Yeah.
And he just, when he grabs Gamora and he, like, when he starts to realize that he has to kill Gamora to get the Soul Stone. The hiding of the Soul Stone was great, by the way. Like everybody's been like, oh, it's in Wakanda, it's here. Like, no, none of you fuckers are right. And
Red Skull has it.
Red Skull has it, right. And that was like, as soon as Red Skull showed up, I'm like, I almost hit the guy next to me because it was just like, I don't believe they put Red Skull in this. But when he realized that he has to kill someone he loves, and you see that he actually loves Gamora, even though she tried to kill him multiple times in this movie and has gone against him. Just that whole scene, you're like, I kind of want to cry with Thanos right now. It's just so, but he talks about he wants to snap his fingers, take out half of existence, and then sit and watch the sunrise.
And that's what he did.
And that's what he did. The movie ends with him, like, after everybody disintegrates or whatever, turns into leaves or whatever, it happens.
Yeah.
Rogers sits up, and everybody's kind of, who's in Wakanda, who's left in Wakanda, kind of like turns to Rogers, like, what do we do now?
Yeah.
And he just has this blank stare on his face, and we lost Bucky too.
Yeah.
We
he
lost
was like
everybody.
The first one.
Yeah, and then they show Thanos in this shack on some planet, and
Yeah.
he walks over. He just sits on the cliff, and watches the sunrise with a big smile on his face. I'm like, oh fucker! And then they go to black. It's like, oh my god, you just fucking did it! Like you. That's why this movie is so high for me. You built up this entire universe over 10 years, and then actually did the story the way the story needed to go. You didn't pull back. You didn't shy away from it. You didn't like have somebody come in the last minute and save the day, even though Thor tried.
So, okay. So I'm in denial. They're going to bring everybody back, right? But let's for a minute say they don't. What's the next movie going to be about?
So that's been kind of the talk. So a lot of talk that I've heard is they thought that the general consensus, not everybody was saying this, but generally that they were going to kill Thanos off in this film, and that the next one was going to be the beginning of the Kree Skrull War, and that whole storyline has to deal with aliens portraying different Avengers. Think of Hydra, but with aliens instead. So
Okay.
they are shapeshifters, and they are people who do things to help set the agenda for the Kree Skrull War. And so a lot of people were saying that Hawkeye is a Kree because he sets it up, and he's really an alien trying to set up this conflict and everything. And that's how the comic was. The comic had this whole like series where it was like Invasion of the Body Snatchers, essentially.
Okay.
And so that was the general thought. Was you're going to kill Thanos, you're going to have this Invasion of the Body Snatchers, and that's what Infinity War 2 was going to be. No. The last thing after the post-credit scene was Thanos will return. Not the Avengers will return, or the Guardians will return, or Thor will return, like they've done at the end of every movie. At the end, it says Thanos will return. So I have ideas, but there's no fucking clue.
Well, and who did that head of Shield? Well, not Shield anymore, but
Fury.
Fury. Who did he call?
Well,
Send?
okay, so the post-credit scene,
which in our theater, which was a giant theater, we only saw 2 people leave before that happened.
Yeah.
You have to stay.
Yeah.
Because you have no idea that like there's a glimmer of hope.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and the thing about those two too was we were like 3/4 of the way through the credits and they got up and left. It's like you've already fucking stayed this whole time.
Like 20 seconds. Just
hang it's
out
okay. It's like 3 minutes. It's not that big of a deal. So the post-credit scene is Fury and hold on, I have it up. Oh yeah, they killed him now, and we'll get into Loki in a minute. Where is it? Brolin. God, what is her name?
the chick from How I Met My Mother.
Yeah, I can't remember. Sure, it's not right here on top, right?
No.
No. Okay. So, you know who we're talking about. I can't remember. I can't believe we can't find her name. Anyways, so she and Fury are driving in New York, and they're talking about something flying in the air or whatever. There's all kinds of they're talking about what's going on with Wakanda and how to get more people to Wakanda to help and whatever. And this Suburban spins out in front and crashes, and so they stop, and she gets out and walks over, and there's nobody in the front seat, and Fury gets out, and then the helicopter's crashing behind him.
I wanted to. It's the Rapture.
Just one time, a pile of clothes would have been awesome. And so Fury then turns around to her, and she starts to evaporate into the leaves like everybody else has done.
And then he pulls out some thing
and like really weird like kind of old style communication device, whatever.
Yeah.
And he starts to fade into the leaves. But he hits the button in time, and it falls to the ground, and the symbol for Captain Marvel pops on the screen. So it was him calling Captain Marvel from the other dimension. It's got to be it.
So when is the Captain Marvel movie? That is before.
It is before. I want to say it's November.
So they could bring her in.
Well, if they're going to do an origin story with her, so
right, but they could do that and bring her into the Avengers 4, Infinity War 2, whatever.
Yes. So they're also saying that the Infinity War 4 or Infinity War 2, Avengers 4, whatever you want to call it, is going to have 60 plus characters in it.
Wow.
So they're going to bring in a bunch of other people too.
Right. How many were in this one?
38. So the rumor was like 60 or something like that. We're going to be in the next one. So it's like, okay, all right.
And when is this movie coming out?
May of next year.
Okay. We have to wait a whole year?
A whole year.
Okay.
It's like, I know we're not really we're talking about the movie, but we're talking about like all the stuff that's going on. Because
your mind is blown by the end of the movie. Like we sat there, the entire, like I said, it was a giant theater. The entire theater was silent.
Dead silent, yes.
As soon as it was over. Like nobody talked. Everybody just sat there and waited for the after credit scene.
Yeah.
There wasn't hooping and hollering. There wasn't clapping. There was nothing. Everybody just sat there and waited. And then the end of credits scene came. And then the Thanos will return. And then it's still silent. Nobody's saying anything. And then this guy's like, fuck Thanos. And everybody started, it kind of broke the tension. And everybody started laughing. And then everybody got up and started walking away. Yes.
Yes. Her name is Colby Smulders, but I cannot remember what her freaking character name is. It's gonna make me crazy.
Name.
Yeah, probably.
Colby Smulders.
One of the other things I wanted to talk about was the beginning of the movie. Now, Thor Ragnarok has probably been put in my top 5 of the favorite movies just because of the depth of it. Go watch Film Joy movies with Mikey. It explains a whole lot.
He will blow your mind about that movie.
And Cinema Wins does the same thing too. Yep. Just the levels that they put in that movie is a retcon. It's so well done.
And if you have the DVD or the Blu-ray, watch the Taika Waititi's
director's commentary. That movie ends with Thor and Loki and Valkyrie and everybody, and they're flying off because Asgard's been destroyed and whatever. So they're flying off, and Thanos' ship shows up.
Right.
Well, so then Infinity War starts with the distress call, and Thanos and his lackeys, his people are all walking over dead bodies on the ship, and Thanos is holding Thor's head, like his whole hand is on his head,
which you see in the
trailer, and he's trying to convince Loki to give him the Tesseract that's got one of the stones in it. And so Loki tries a couple different times to pull shenanigans to try to kill Thanos or whatever.
I'm totally on your side. Well, I got a knife.
And he stabs him. Anyways, Thanos ends up choking Loki to death in front of everybody, in front of Thor and everybody. And Thor's kind of encased in this steel whatever thing. And then they blow up the ship, and they take off to go to Thanos' ship, Thanos and his cronies, and Thor's left on the ship as it's being destroyed around him, and then they go do a bunch of stuff and whatever, and then the Guardians show up and they essentially run into Thor, like run him over. That was actually in one of the trailers, and they bring him in, and so they killed Heimdall and Loki, like not like erased from existence, like fucking killed them.
Yeah.
And you're like we're 5 minutes in, you've killed one major character and one secondary major character, and like if you don't understand right then that shit's about to go down, then you're not paying attention. It's unreal. Like they don't shy away from. It's like a cold open too.
Yeah.
It's like there's
and the music, like it's not when they do the Marvel kind of comic book opening.
Yeah.
And dun 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 dun. Dun.
Yeah.
This was it was quiet, and it was just like they going through. It was very subdued.
Yeah.
Once the music did start. I think I would have felt very different about Loki, about what Loki did in that whole scene, if I hadn't watched
that Film Joy.
Yeah. Where he basically explains and points out that Ragnarok was Loki's redemption movie.
Yeah.
And
he redeems himself at the end of that movie.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of the whole thing, but and then otherwise because I was thinking about that when that was happening, I was like, I would feel very different about him trying to be on the good side.
Right.
Like, where's this coming from? But then
yeah, and if you haven't watched Film Joy, if you didn't know Ragnarok, you wouldn't have gotten all of that too.
Yeah,
and
you'd be like, Loki isn't dead. There's no way he's dead because it's Loki,
he's
and
done
that's
it like 6 or 7 times.
Yeah.
And the other part of the Thor part of the storyline was Thor and Rocket and Groot get on the shuttle from the
mining.
The what's fucking
the
ship,
Milano.
The Milano. So they take the shuttlecraft from the Milano and they go off to
nowhere.
Or no, Milano's going to nowhere. They're going off to get his axe done at the Morning Star or whatever thing. And Thor and Rocket are having a conversation, and Rocket's trying to understand why Thor is doing what Thor is doing, right? And so he makes this speech about how I've lost everybody.
Yeah.
I can't lose anybody else. And Rocket,
literally, there's nobody left to lose.
And so Rocket's like, well, at least you still have your mom, right? He's like, no, a dark elf killed her.
Yeah.
Like you come to the realization that Thor, of all the Avengers, Thor has lost the most, and you don't know it until they point it out.
Yeah.
I didn't recognize it until they pointed it out.
Yeah.
So you get this emotional, like, okay, they just killed everybody off from Asgard. Like, everybody from Asgard is dead except for Thor. And where's Valkyrie, by the way?
Oh, yeah.
And Crow.
Well, she was on the.
She was
they
on the
were all on the ship.
Yeah. Anyways, see, this is why we need to go watch it again, because there's all kinds of different stuff
Well,
going
I
on in the
kept
background.
looking at the bodies, like
Yeah.
looking for Taika Waititi's
Krog,
whatever.
Oh, I left him up there. I have a pop because he's fucking awesome.
Gorg.
And Valkyrie and all that stuff. So Thor is the only one that's left, and so it's like, holy cow! Like, I don't believe they killed everybody off from Asgard. Here's another subtle, everybody's going to die without really he's even saying that everybody's going to die in that conversation with Rocket.
I'd like to point out that everybody was like, Cap's gonna die, Tony's gonna die, Cap's gonna die, Tony's gonna. They're the two that didn't.
Yeah. And so it's like, they call there's so much. They called Bucky the White Wolf. So that's officially out there now.
Mm-hmm. Well, they called him that at the end of.
Did they say it at the end?
Yeah.
I see. That's the thing. We saw Black Panther twice in the theater, and I don't remember them saying White Wolf.
Yeah, because one of them is it Siri or
Shuri.
Shuri or whoever walks up, and somebody says the White Wolf, and you're like, who's in the tent?
Yeah, yeah, okay. For everybody who was actually got a good storyline, Bucky kind of seemed a little like shorted a little bit.
Yeah.
But his story was Winter Soldier and Civil War, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but I want to talk about so much more of this. But a couple other things that I want to talk about outside of the story plots and whatever is the CGI is amazing. We talked about with Thanos and how the mocap and everything that happens with that. It's just so well done. It's so good. All this stuff that they do in outer space and Nowhere and Titan and all the different planets. The best visual gag of the entire movie is the biggest person in the entire movie is Peter Dinklage, who is in charge of the star. Where they build Mjolnir, which is the hammer, and then they go to make the axe. The axe handle is made out of Groot's arm. Fucking unbelievable. See,
I think we were like the only two people that got that too, because we were laughing.
Yeah,
because it was the Peter Dinklage was a giant, but nobody else.
It was so funny. Did anybody else get this reference at all?
You realize he's a little person,
right?
In real
Right,
life,
and he was
right?
awesome. And then the other thing too, so the CGI is great. The other thing too is the music that Alan Silvestri did.
Oh my gosh!
Again, it's so well done.
Yeah, it definitely makes you understand that this is deep and dark and important. And
it's like, oh, wow, Alan Silvestri. I mean, we got some great composers right now with Elfman and John Williams and everybody. And I would never have been really a music, like paying attention to the music and stuff like that until I started watching the Schmodown and talking to Robert and Vanessa from Late to the Party and really kind of, it's like, oh yeah, that is important. Yeah, there's all these layers in the movies. Is there anything else? I mean, we could spend another hour talking about the movie and going through step by step and everything else, but is there anything else specific that you want to talk about? You want to talk about Scarlett's blonde hair?
I'm not sure I understand what the point of that was.
Well, they're in disguise. All of them were in a kind
Oh,
of a
that's true.
disguise
Because
they're
got the beard.
they're on the run.
Yeah, all right.
I mean, that was kind of a
I mean, there's just so much. I could just, there's not Gamora. Nebula being pulled apart. There's
that was rough to watch.
Teenage Groot who walks around playing a handheld video game the entire movie.
Yeah. The battle scene in Wakanda is unbelievable.
Yeah.
It is so well done.
Yeah.
And I love the ship coming in and bouncing off the shield, like blowing up on the shield, and everybody's like,
and
wait a minute, there's a shield.
the love story you all knew was going on between Wanda and Vision.
Gamora and Peter said.
They
said "I love you" to each other. And then,
well, and so I knew. I mean, the opening scene aside, I knew shit was gonna go down when Tony and what's her face are gonna get married.
Oh Pepper.
Pepper and Tony are getting married. It's like,
hey, John Roca, that was not Pepper in the outfit, in the Iron Man outfit. In the trailer, Thanos punches Iron Man, and John Roca was like, "That's Pepper Potts getting knocked the fuck out and killing him," and that's what puts Tony on the track to go on this rampage.
Yeah.
That's not what happened. No. Pepper's in it, but she's there was talk that she was gonna be rescue. She wasn't rescue. She was Pepper Potts. She was just and they were talking about them getting married. And it was just like, that's
she could come back in the next one,
unless she
join
got
the
blinked
team.
out of existence like
That's
everybody
true.
else.
Yeah, and we don't know.
My one tiny small little criticism. We had a scene nose to nose with Robert Downey Jr. and Benedict Cumberbatch, and neither one of them addressed the Sherlock thing.
He wanted them to
wanted them to say, no shit, Sherlock, or something, and then both like somebody else saying it, and they both kind of turn and look. And there's no place for that in this movie. There's comedy, there's laughs, there's some levity and stuff like that. But there was no place in this movie for that scene. I wanted that so bad.
Yeah,
and that's stupid critique. But let's give this a score. We've talked about it for half an hour. We could go for another hour if we wanted to. But let's give it a score on a 1 to oh my god. 5s.
5.
We gave it 5s. For me, I'm giving it a perfect score because it is the most perfect movie I've seen.
Yeah.
And to be able, I talked about this already in this video, but I want to talk about it again as a wrap up. To be able to set up this universe, have all this hype
for 10 years,
have it exceed that hype, and then you actually had the balls to do the snap of the fingers and blink out half of existence and kill off 2/3 of all of your major characters that you spent all of this time setting up. And there is no clue on what's going to happen next. That, to me, is a perfect movie.
Yeah, especially nowadays, right?
A perfect... let me rephrase this a little bit.
Perfect superhero.
A perfect superhero movie.
Yeah.
A genre movie. You've done what is conceivably the most impossible thing in the world.
Yeah. We didn't know it was coming. We listened to a lot of the stuff. Now, recently
I haven't been on social media a whole lot at all this week.
Recently, but over the last several months, we've listened to a lot of stuff, and nobody even came close.
Yeah.
And to... as much as you try not to have expectations, you still have expectations when you go in there.
Right.
And yeah, completely exceeded, blown away.
This is the Star Wars universe has the same thing, but it's 40 years of build up, right? And then they pull off The Last Jedi, and as much as I love Last Jedi and think that it's so well done and changes the entire game,
it does, but it doesn't.
But this, I still love that movie. I think it's great. Film Joy, movies with Mikey just nailed it. We watched the video yesterday about how that movie is perfect. It is a lot better than you think it is. This takes that idea and shows you exactly how it's done.
You don't have to have somebody else explain to you why it's good.
Right.
You can have somebody else explain to you nuances and things that you didn't capture.
Right.
But it's still a good movie. It doesn't have to be explained to you.
Right. So, just unreal. 5 out of 5. All the pops. We're gonna go see it again for sure, at least once, probably more. We paid for this one. We have the movie pass. We'll pay for it again if we can get into a goddamn theater. And if you don't have your tickets already, and so that's our thoughts on Marvel's Avengers: Infinity War. You die, I die, they die. Everybody dies. So what do you guys think? Leave us a comment. Tell us your thoughts on this movie, on the universe, what's going to happen next, all of that stuff. Like this video. Hit the subscribe button. Ring the bell. Ring my bell. And then also follow us. We were trying not to do it earlier. Fuck it, we're just singing. Follow us on all the social media stuff. Facebook, PopCultureCult. Instagram, PopCultureCult1. Twitter, pop_cult1. We're also on Stardust. There's a whole bunch of reactions. Download it for free. React to everything. There's like 50 on just on at least on my timeline, like 50 reactions just to Infinity War and a bunch of the other Marvel movies around it. So that's what we have to say about this. Now we're gonna go enjoy our Saturday somehow and not cry. Curl up in a ball. I don't believe I killed Peter Parker. And until next time, good morning now.